So today we're going to present over the concepts in employee relations. I'm Julian.
I'm Giovanni Rios.
I'm Avery.
So we're going to get started with a video over what employee relations are.
At Dillon's, the proven quality of Kroger brand products will make you feel like you're winning.
The employee relations discipline concerns the relationship of employees with the organization and with each other. It includes the process of developing, implementing, administering, and analyzing the employer-employee relationship, performing ongoing evaluation of it, managing employee performance, ensuring that relations with employees comply with applicable federal, state, local laws and regulations, and resolving workplace disputes. The discipline of employee relations encompasses a broad range of concepts, practices, behaviors, and objectives arising out of the relationship between an employer and its employees. Its foundations, if clearly laid and maintained, will support and guide a myriad of decisions that an organization's leaders will make in the course of recruiting, screening, hiring, training, compensating, assessing, accommodating, coaching, counseling, disciplining, and terminating employees. It is impossible to anticipate every possible situations managers and employees will face in the workplace. Nevertheless, human resource professionals who understand the basic concepts of the employee relations discipline and who take steps to ensure their organization's practices and standards are logical as well as understood by employees and leaders will know how to identify needs, spot issues, and form solutions to employee relations situations as they arise. Basic employee relations concepts include fairness and consistency in the treatment of employees, effective communication between management and employees, documentation of all employment actions, record keeping as required by law and practice, performance management systems, workplace investigations, compliance measures, and conflict resolution processes. In some organizations, employee relations professionals are responsible for creating and maintaining a positive, productive, and cohesive work environment within the organization's particular business model and corporate culture.
All right, so next we're all going to take some time to talk about concepts in employee relations. I'm going to start by talking about conflict resolution, communication, employee engagement, and investing in employees. So the first one, conflict resolution, is the process of ending a dispute and reaching an agreement just between the employee and employer that satisfies each one. Next is communication, and that's just talking between the employee and employer, and this is one of the most important parts of employee relations. Different ways they can communicate is through newsletters, emails, and surveys. Next, employee engagement. So this is just engaging with employees and community building activities, incentives and awards, holiday events. So Gio and I got the opportunity to go to nationals in Vancouver, Washington, and one of the things we did while we were there is go to Nike headquarters, and we had one of the Nike employees who were close friends with our coach. He gave us a tour of the headquarters, and he talked about different types of employee engagement that Nike does. And one of those things was they had a live concert, and he told us that they had a Canadian artist who is Drake. That's who he's talking about. He had no idea who he was, but they had him go to the headquarters and have a concert just for the employees. So then that's just kind of one way that Nike engages with their employees. And the last one is investing in an employee, and this has more to do than just financial. It could also have to do with like emotional and social investments, maybe provide training and development opportunities for the employees. This video further talks about conflict resolution and different ways to solve conflict.
HR Basics is a series of short lessons designed to highlight what you need to know about a particular human resource management topic. In today's HR Basics, we explore workplace conflict, understanding more about conflict in the workplace and how to solve it. Workplace conflict is a perceived divergence of interests, a belief that parties' current aims are incompatible. Anytime people work together, conflict is a normal part of doing business. Conflict's normal and natural in any workplace, but when it occurs, there's a tendency for morale to be lowered, for absenteeism to increase, and for productivity to decrease. One research study estimated that managers spend at least 25% of their time responding to workplace conflicts. Handling and resolving conflicts that arise in the workplace is one of the biggest challenges managers and employees face. There are many causes and reasons for conflict in a work setting. They include poor communication, where different communication styles lead to misunderstandings between employees or employees and their manager. A lack of communication drives conflict underground. Different values. Any workplace is made up of individuals who see the world quite differently. Conflict occurs when there's a lack of acceptance and understanding of these differences. Differing interests. Conflict occurs when individuals' workers fight for personal goals, ignoring organizational goals and well-being. Scarce resources. Too often, employees feel that they have to compete for available resources in order to do their job. In a resource-scarce environment, this causes conflict, despite awareness of how scarce resources may be. Personality clashes. All work environments are made up of differing personalities. Unless colleagues understand and accept each other's approach to work and problem solving, conflict will occur. And finally, poor performance. When one or more individuals within a work unit are not performing, not working up to their potential, and it's not addressed, conflict is inevitable. In resolving conflict, it's important to make sure you do the following. Clearly articulate the causes of the conflict and acknowledge that there will be different perspectives. Make a clear statement of why you want the conflict resolved and the reasons to work on the conflict. Communicate how you want the conflict to be resolved. Address issues face to face, and stick to the issues. And take time out if necessary. After all, conflict resolution can be messy, so take a step back if you need to restart the process. Because no two individuals have exactly the same expectations and desires, conflict is a natural part of our workplaces. The Thomas Kilmann model was designed to illustrate the options we have when handling conflict. The TKI defines 5 approaches to resolving conflict. We'll get to those in a minute. There are also 2 dimensions of the model, assertiveness and cooperativeness. The TKI is designed to measure a person's behavior in conflict situations. Conflict situations are those in which the concerns of 2 people appear to be incompatible. In such situations, we can describe the individual's behavior along 2 dimensions, the continuums you see here. First, assertiveness, the extent to which the person attempts to satisfy his or her own concerns. And second, cooperativeness, the extent to which the person attempts to satisfy the other person's concerns. As I mentioned just a minute ago, there are 5 approaches that can be utilized to address workplace conflict. Competing, where the goal is to win; collaborating, where we work together to find a mutually beneficial solution; compromising, where we find middle ground; avoiding, where we hide from the conflict; and accommodating, where we surrender our needs to please the other. Each of these 5 approaches are along both the assertiveness and cooperativeness continuums. The competing mode is at the top left of the model, which means an individual takes a wholly assertive and uncooperative approach to resolving the conflict. It means standing up for your rights, defending the position in which you believe is correct, or simply trying to beat the other side. An individual pursues his or her own concerns at the other person's expense. This is a power-oriented mode in which you use whatever power seems appropriate to win your own position. The collaborating mode is at the top right of the model, which means an individual takes an assertive yet cooperative approach. It means being willing to believe that at an impasse, it's possible for both sides to come out with what they want. Collaborating requires mutual respect, a willingness to listen to others, and creativity in finding solutions. Collaborating may take the form of exploring a disagreement to learn from each other's insights or trying to find a creative solution to an interpersonal problem. The compromising mode is at the center of the model because it's both assertive and cooperative, but only to some extent. Both sides get something, but not everything. The objective is to find an expedient, mutually acceptable solution that partially satisfies both parties. In some situations, compromising might mean splitting the difference between two positions, exchanging concessions, or seeking a quick middle ground solution. The avoiding mode is at the bottom left of the model, which means an individual takes an unassertive and uncooperative approach to conflict and they just don't deal with it. Avoiding might take the form of diplomatically sidestepping an issue, postponing an issue until a better time, or simply withdrawing from a threatening situation. Thus, he or she does not deal with the conflict. And finally, the accommodating mode is at the bottom right of the model, which means an individual takes a wholly unassertive and cooperative approach. This might take the form of selfless generosity, giving in to another person's orders when you would prefer not to, or yielding to another person's point of view. When accommodating, an individual neglects his or her own concerns to satisfy the concerns of the other person. There is an element of self-sacrifice. Each of us is capable of using all 5 of these approaches or modes. None of us can be characterized by having a single style when dealing with conflict, but certain people use some modes or approaches better than others, and therefore, they tend to rely on those modes more heavily. Your conflict behavior in the workplace is a result of both your personal predispositions and the requirements of the situation you find yourself in. The TKI is designed to measure this mix of conflict handling modes and help you, your team, and your organization better resolve workplace conflict.
Okay, so a few more topics that we're going to dive into. One is employee communication. With little to no communication, a task cannot get done. And also with negative communication, a task cannot get done. With negative communication, there's no sort of work towards the common project or goal. So therefore, it really needs to be monitored and make sure that it's positive. Employee development, that can be somebody moving up within a company or someone first getting introduced. With no development, the company and the individual cannot grow, which is not helping anyone. And then the last one is employee relations. With negative employee relations, you start to not be able to work towards a task or get any sort of work done, which hurts the company. So you really need to make sure and monitor that the employee relations are positive.
And then next we're going to show you guys a video about a way to communicate with employees.
T-Mobile 5G home internet slowing you down when everyone's connected. Why deal with that?
Hi, I'm Anna. In my human resources role, I start my day by sending updates to the team, answering questions, and checking my task manager while viewing results from our team projects, on my computer or on the go. Before, I was doing all of this through multiple apps, and it was causing crazy miscommunications. Phone calls, emails, and multiple chat features were creating a gap between myself and my frontline workers, who don't have company emails or cell phone numbers. Now, I am a unified digital employee hub that allows me to be in touch with my team at all times from anywhere. My frontline employees are informed and feel included in the conversation regardless of language barriers due to an automatic translation feature. As a result, our productivity is through the roof. Wish you could make the switch? Just reach out.
And finally, one of the last concepts, I'll be talking about these 3 topics. First one being analyzing performance, and that's just an employee tracking tool. And to make sure that the managers and people on the higher ranks can log in the completion of assigned tasks on the employees and monitor their productivity and see what they're lacking up and what they can also improve. Next, we have conducting regular safety training. Obviously, in multiple jobs, safety is a requirement, and that's just to explain the basics and how to go through the safety protocols. There are 3 types of safety. One of them being required. Everyone in the workplace have to do safety. Another one will be additional training, any optional training that people want to learn to change their job or their departments. And the other one is job specific. In different departments, they have specific training that they do, so they'll just go through that safety protocol. Next is Lastly will be the employee empowerment, and that's just autonomy, be able to make any decision making, and take action as see fit. This is also a contrast to micromanagement, and the managers in upper ranks can provide clear expectations to see what they want and how they want things to be done. And they will also offer guidelines like resources to help get the job done faster.
All right, and finally, we're going to talk about different companies and how they have achieved organizational success by focusing on performance management. My company that I chose was Nike, and 3 different things they do to focus on performance management is they have a performance review, and they also use AI, and then they make sure stuff is done in a timely fulfillment because it needs to be done quickly. So Nike has a performance management system that they use to recognize each employee's contribution to their performance. This just allows for employers to kind of like see the employee's performance, and also provides the employee with an opportunity to provide feedback to the manager. And this can include different suggestions for improvement, maybe requests for additional training or support. And the results of these are used to determine different eligibility for raises, bonuses, and promotions. And AI is something that Nike uses when they do these performance analysis. So this helps with the consistency and fairness of the review process, and AI can kind of help eliminate bias and ensure that the review process is solely based on objective data. So some of the current best practices that Nike uses in employee retention is they compensate their employees. This makes their employees feel committed to their roles, and it makes them less likely to leave the organization. Another thing they do is they invest in them by offering mentorship programs, and also by offering them training and development, and this kind of just helps them develop and just learn different skills.
Our next company will be Netflix, and one of the old systems that they had was an annual review and individual performances, and what that did, it just did not encourage the employees nor give them valuable feedback, so they changed their ways to the 360 feedback, which will allow them to give multiple sources of feedback from managers, subordinates, customers, peers, etc. And that helped them improve their productivity. Next is transparency, which is just an access to the reviews that help build trust, sharing the info and deliver what we have to say and what we want to do. And it kind of also help build accountability to be able to be accountable and decisions to open any stockholders to evaluate Netflix organization, performance and impact. And finally, autonomy, like I said earlier, it was just to make their own decisions, be more creative, and be innovative to new ideas. And for Netflix, current best practices is to eliminate controls, and under that will be take ownership of their own work. Like I said earlier about innovation, create your own ideas, be creative, and if you do that in Netflix, they will, if it's a good fit, then they'll give you credit, and you might just be able to move higher in rankings. Employees are empowered, like I said earlier, also the autonomy. As long as they get the work done, they're free to do whatever they like, please, or doing another task. Flexibility in any situations. If there are any problems or situations that could possibly be bad, they're free to step back, rethink over, look at the resources, and go back to it. And as long as they fix the problem, then everything will be all good.
So I did Microsoft. For the past, in the past, Microsoft was known for using a system called stack ranking, which was actually negative. It encouraged workers to compete against each other, and there was a lot of sabotage that was involved, and a lot of people really took credit for work that wasn't theirs to try to get hired. And then the CEO, Steve Ballmer, actually changed that right before he retired. So as you can read it, they now focus on collaboration and they emphasize development, which is huge and it's really helped their company. So the three things that Microsoft is known for, they're kind of on the cutting edge for. So one is competitive wages. Obviously, like Microsoft is a huge company, so they're able to provide more of those wages. But having competitive wages is important. One, because it allows and attracts people to come and work for your company, but it also motivates people to work harder and produce better work. The next one is being able to work from home. It's been shown that productivity skyrockets when people are able to work from home, and a recent study has also found that 90% of people by 2025 will be working from home, and Microsoft kind of helped start that. And then reduced work days. This has been also shown to increase productivity, and while there are certain deadlines that need to be met, it allows for individuals to kind of work on their own timelines, but also encourages people to work together.
And here's our works cited, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.